Hey team, and welcome to the bonus and final episode of the season. I'm kind of sad that the first season's come to an end. I don't even know where to begin with how supportive you've all been. I'm so overwhelmed with the feedback, and yeah, it means so much to me that you do share, subscribe, follow, do all of that jazz, because it's nice to know that the stuff I put out there actually means something and is engaging and makes you giggle, I hope, and feel a little bit less like you don't know what you're doing on your own, because I feel like we all don't know what we're doing. I'm also going to do a special shout out to all my kick-ass guests of the season. I feel like I managed to get quite a plethora of people with really different opinions and conversations to have. So shout out to every single one of those amazing women that made this the Badass Female series. I just love it. It's exactly what I wanted. And yeah, I'm just very emotional. And this episode's going to be a little bit different because it's just me, myself and I this time. I know. Prepare yourself, like now's the time to dash the hell out of here if you don't want to listen to me for 40 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe an hour, depends how much I babble on. But you guys, I asked on Instagram for you guys to send in your questions and I've not pre-looked at them. I've just got them screenshotted on my phone, so it's going to be an on-the-spot Q&A answering what you guys want to know and what you guys want to hear. So I think this is going to be a fun one. Well, I hope so anyway. And as always, don't forget to rate, review and subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at Smile to Health and at Jeans in a Nice Top Pod. And if you fancy a cheeky little book recommendation and you're into poetry at the moment, then head over to Amazon. My poetry book, Curse to Feel, is available worldwide. Ciao! Hey team, and welcome to another episode of Jeans and a Nice Top Pod, and this week it is me, myself and I. It is a Q&A episode. I put up a little question box on my Instagram about a week ago and asked you guys to input the things that you'd like to know and that you'd like me to go deeper into for the bonus episode of the first season of the podcast. Can you believe that it is already been 8 episodes? Like, what the hell? It just makes me so excited. I've already started planning the next season. I'm going to have a mini little digital break so that I can get my creative juices flowing again and make the second season just as good, if not better, than the first. So double shout out to everyone that's supported and reviewed. It makes my absolute day. I just freaking love you all. So thank you. Anyway, I feel like this is going to be interesting. I've not pre-looked at these questions, so Lord help me, because once I've started reading it out, I've got to answer it. So yeah, if you've made it this far and you're committed to listening to me, let's do this. I feel like I need really dramatic music to start this off. Question number 1, and then what's it, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Like, da-da-da. But okay, I actually really like this as a beginning question. What is your favourite food? Now, I'm a massive foodie, so this is a really difficult one for me because I actually go through periods of obsessions. So basically, I get really obsessed with a certain type of food and I eat it to the point that I can't eat it for a very long time again. So rather than saying my favourite food, I'm going to say my favourite obsessions at the moment because I feel like it changes all the time. So current obsessions, bao buns. I can't believe it has taken me so long to discover these, and they have so many really good veggie options. And also because I live in Shepherd's Bush, there's quite a lot of foreign shops that, you know, like with like an Asian shops and things like that sell all of the quirky, homemade, like authentic versions that are half the price of places like Ping Pong, may I add. So yes, absolutely obsessed. This obsession is fueled by my boyfriend, who loves Asian food just as much as I do, so it's very dangerous. So bao buns, number 1. 2, Little Moons. Now, I'm really annoyed that they have become a trend because I liked these before they were a trend. And only slightly before, but still, I liked them before they became popular, and now I can't get them anywhere. There's 2 types. So there's the ice cream type, which you have to wait to defrost. I'm really impatient, so these frustrate me a little bit. But the pistachio ones are sensational, highly recommend. The other ones are the fresh ones that come in little packs of 2, and they're normally in like the sushi section of Waitrose, or I think Tesco have them. They have a little Yo Sushi section. Not gonna lie, the consistency of them, like, it feels like a ball sack. That sounds so bad. And Mom, I'm so sorry if you're listening to this. Dad, cover your ears. I'm so sorry, but it does. Like, it's a bit like, I can't, you'll know what I mean if you eat them. So consistency is really weird, but bear with. You'll love them. Current favourite flavour is mango cheesecake. So that is obsession number 2. And then my third obsession, food-wise, currently, duck pancakes. For anyone that's like panicking because I like cheese veggie, what is going on? It's the Linda McCartney vegan duck pancake kit. Wow. I don't want to share it with people, but normally I do share it, and then like we have other things like sushi and stuff like that on the side. Hot damn. That stuff is good. Like, it is good. It's like little pancakes, and it's like crispy duck. It's hoisin sauce. You do it with cucumber and spring onion. I just love finger food. So huge win for me. And yeah, I discovered that about 6 months ago. Still eating it pretty much every week. Like, can't stop, won't stop. So yeah, those would be my 3 current obsessions: bao buns, little moons, and duck pancakes. I feel like there's a definite theme going on there. Also, always obsessed with Tony's chocolonely. You can't stop, won't stop. And peanut butter, obviously. I've managed to not be sick of that yet, and I don't know how, because I get through a kilogram tub pretty much every 2 weeks. It's dangerous. I eat it with a spoon. Even if I haven't got a spoon, just go straight in there with the finger. Zero fucks at all. So yeah, food obsessions ticked off. That is question number 1. What a way to set the scene. I feel like I've really created a picture of myself there. Also, this is so hard to I'm so used to interviewing someone, so it's really weird to chat on my own, and I've realised I am probably speaking a million miles an hour. It is the Midlands girl in me. I am sorry. I will be mindful to speak slower. Question number 2, what is your biggest dream? Oh, that's quite a nice question. Dreams are a really hard one because they change all the time. Because if you'd have asked me this about a year ago, I'd have said like to be in a Netflix series or to win an Oscar. But actually, my dreams are so much more than that. I know that I want to be as creative as possible, but there's lots of projects that I want to do within that. So I'd really like to be in the radio, specifically BBC Radio. I'd like to publish another book, a poetry book and a non-fiction. I obviously still want to pursue the creative actor, dancer, singer life. I absolutely love it. Their passion is not going anywhere. And I'm just so excited for theatres to open. It's not long, and my hands are in a prayer position right now, praying that nothing goes wrong and stops it from happening, because I miss theatre so much. So those are all of my creative goals. But then I think my biggest dream, this is so cliche and it sounds like a cop-out, but it genuinely is to be happy. I have spent so much of my life, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, like when you're at school, you do what you think you should do and what's right, or what makes you look good or successful or be desirable on paper. And actually, life is so much more than that. And I just want to live my most authentic life that makes me happiest. And that could change from week to week. Like, my goals and what I want in life is very different to what my friends want, but what I want right now could be very different to what I might want in a year's time. So I think happiness is my biggest dream. Not saying that I'm not happy, because I really am, and I'm very fortunate to have freaking incredible people in my life that bring me so much joy. I have learned over the years to prioritize things that really make me happy, and have activities and hobbies that I do just for the love of it, rather than for an achievement or kind of toxic positivity, in that you can't enjoy something unless it's something you can post about. Actually, I really enjoy the little things, which actually leads on to my next question, which is what one thing you took away from quarantine. And I genuinely think it's that life is so much more than what we think it is. And actually, when it comes down to it, we all work and push and strive and hustle all the time for these big goals and these big things to tick off, and these places we want to be, and these asterisks we want after our names, or you want a family or a house or a nice car. And actually, all we cared about this year was seeing the people that we loved and being able to do the things that make our soul happy. And I think that's my biggest takeaway from quarantine, is that I realised how much time I waste on things that don't make me happy, people pleasing, people that don't make me happy, doing jobs that I think I have to do to get where I want, whereas actually your life really is what you make it, and it can change. You can change. You're never stuck. You're never trapped. You can literally transform your life from today, from right now. You can make a choice that completely transforms your life and the way that you live. And I think quarantine and lockdown, the big C word, taught us all that actually it is really just a phone call away, an announcement away, a global pandemic away from everyone's life being completely different. I feel like a lot of us have had to pivot during this really crazy, difficult time. And although there's been a lot of sadness and heartbreak and difficulty, I think there's been a lot of cleansing and discovery and reinventing of ourselves. I'm at a completely different stage in my life now that I was a year and a half ago. I'm so much happier in my body. My mental health is a lot better than it has ever been, because I actually took the time to prioritize myself. And I think so many people did the same, especially in the first lockdown. I feel like the first lockdown was quite beneficial for a lot of people in that it gave people the time and forced people really to sit with themselves and say, okay, what's serving me? What is making me happy? What is good for me right now? I mean, by the third lockdown, I was literally crawling up the walls and I was so over banana bread and walking, and it was raining all the time. I was like, I wanted a heat wave and I just wanted to sit inside a coffee shop rather than having to get a takeaway. Like, I really was the little things. I was going mad by the third one. So, maybe I declined a bit more, and then I'm on the transformation again. But long story short, yeah, the biggest lesson I think is that life is so much more than what we're led to believe it is, and that it's not about what we have to show, it's how we feel and how we choose to live in the day to day. Wow, I haven't really DMC and spiritual then. I've only had one coffee today. Maybe that's why. Getting a bit too emotional. I have got a neon candle on. It's very vibey in here. I wish you could see it. I've like deep cleaned my room. I've got my neon candle lit. It's the de-stress, which is very apt for me because I am the embodiment of stress. I'm just permanently stressed. I've got a little herbal tea going. I've got my crystals on the window. And I'm joking. I've got a little plant which I've managed to not kill. I don't know how. It is a cactus, so maybe that's why I haven't killed it. I did kill Jeremy. He was a floppy, droopy little plant anyway, and apparently they're very sensitive. They're very touchy beings. Like, too much sun freaks out, too much water freaks out, and I did everything to try and save him, but he was a goner, people. So R.I.P. Jeremy. Jez is gone, so we've only got cactuses in here now. That's not a question. I'm going very off topic. Let's go on to the next one. Woo! Can you see why I don't do too many episodes on my own? I just get so sidetracked. Anyway, how to feel comfortable, truly comfortable in your own skin. That's a really beautiful question, and it's there is no set answer to that. I talk about this a lot on my Instagram, in that your body is constantly changing, you are constantly changing, therefore your relationship to yourself is going to be permanently changing and evolving. And also, unfortunately, what impacts that is external factors. You could have had a breakup, you might have been more sedentary than usual, you might be in a really high stress job, you might not be sleeping at the moment, you might have just had a baby. There's so many things that come into play that will affect your emotional and mental well-being, which will also affect how you relate back to your body. I notice that if I'm feeling really sad or my mental health is a bit on the decline, I straight away will start nitpicking at myself. It's almost like a defense mechanism where if I'm stressed or I'm not sleeping, my instant blame is my body. That's just how I'm programmed to revolve back to. So how to truly feel comfortable in your skin, I think it's learning to be with yourself. And I say this a lot. I know I've just got into a relationship, but I really did the work in between to actually be able to be comfortable spending time on my own and with myself. Learning to, I think that's the biggest thing, is to be happy on your own, to know how to be on your own and to take care of yourself and to look after yourself. Like, I love nothing more than going out for like a little solo day, going for a shop, doing a face mask, watching a series, even just dancing to some Little Mix. That's my current fave, guilty pleasure, belting my heart out, like just having a little boogie in my room. Making yourself a nice dinner. I think it's about really taking care of yourself like you would a friend, a family member, and being able to sit comfortably in your own company, which it is a lot harder than it sounds. I know some people really do struggle with it. I'm an only child, so I guess we like our own space. Shout out to any of my fellow only children that really struggle I'm the opposite sometimes. If I have too much social events in my calendar, I get a bit overwhelmed and I'm like, oh, I need some time out. But specifically relating to your skin, and being comfortable in your body, I think you have to change how you talk about your body and the importance that you put on your body. So there's so much pressure to look a certain way and to fit into a box and to be a certain type of person. And that's so unfair. Like, your body literally keeps you alive. It enables you to do everything that you want to do day in, day out without you even thinking about it. You wake up, you breathe, you get out of bed, you put 2 feet on the floor, you brush your teeth, you lift up the kettle to make a drink, and you're not even having to second guess that. Your body automatically is showing up for you day in, day out, and yet all we do is nitpick at every fine detail about it. Why have we got stretch marks? Why have I got wrinkles? Why am I bigger than I'd like to be? Why don't I have cheekbones like Bella Hadid? It's ridiculous, and I think you need to take the time to sit and actually explore what is really beautiful and magical about your body, and just yours, not anyone else's, just your body. And it is a difficult process, and like I said, you constantly have to check in and work at it. It's not an overnight solution, but constantly checking in and confronting yourself when you're being negative towards yourself, when you're saying negative things, when you're body checking, dressing your body how makes you feel good. Like, I absolutely love a leather flare. I love minimalist colours. I love layers. Whereas like some of my friends have really bold colours and baggy clothes. It's dressing your body in a way that makes you feel good. Taking the time to make yourself look nice because it makes you feel good, but also having a makeup free day if that makes you feel good. Moving your body in a way that feels good. I mean, blimey, I don't know how much I could preach that exercise is a very difficult subject to navigate. However, it is so good for your mental health. And what I mean by moving your body is not a high intensity interval training session where you burn 1,000 calories and can't walk the next 3 days. I'm talking about going for a walk. I'm talking about the passive activity you do day in, day out. Rather than sitting down on a chair for 9 hours a day, what are the little things you do in between, like watering the plants in the garden, or standing up and having a little stretch, doing some yoga, having a dance with your friends and going out for drinks. I know like life is coming back now, so there's a lot more accessibility in that sense, but to be comfortable in your skin, you need to be comfortable in yourself as a whole, because it's never about your body, it's other things that you use to blame, and the body is always the punching bag, basically. Next question: how to deal with people commenting on your stretch marks. Are people actually still doing this? Is that for real? Wow, I'm so sorry for whoever sent that question, because that's ridiculous. I mean, your body has to grow. Your body will never stay one size. I've literally tripled in size. I used to be, I was next to nothing because I had an eating disorder, and my body has tripled in size over the years, and I've got stretch marks everywhere, but they are a reminder of my health, of my happiness, of my recovery, of my progress to the person and the woman that I am today. Everyone has stretch marks. They're a completely normal thing. Your body has to grow and evolve to hold the space for you to fill it. I'm sorry that if you are going through that, and if somebody is commenting on your stretch marks, and I hope it's not a partner, because if it is, drop their ass right now. If they are commenting on your body in a negative way, and they're fortunate enough to have you to be vulnerable enough to be exposed or naked or vulnerable with them in that way, and then they're criticizing you for it, they don't deserve you. They don't deserve any part of you at all. And it makes me so angry and sad that they would have to use an insecurity like that, because it is an insecurity, because we see it as an imperfection, right? Anything that's not this completely airbrushed 100% we believe to be a problem, but just because it's not perfect doesn't mean that it's not beautiful, doesn't mean that it's not something to be adored and celebrated. So I think the question is, who is that person making that comment? Why are they making that comment? Where is that coming from? Is it coming from their own insecurity? Is it because they're angry? Is it because they needed something to pinpoint against you to make you feel sad? And then I think when you dissect it from there, you'll actually realise you don't even need to retaliate. Sometimes silence is the bigger winner than shouting and screaming about it. But also, sorry that you're going through that. How did you end up loving your body? I don't love my body, and I'm going to say that, hands up, I don't. Sometimes I do, a lot of the time I don't. And I talk about self-love a lot, and I recently am a lot more aware of it, in the sense that we always see self-love as a destination, right? Like going from A to Z. But self-love it isn't a full stop, it's a comma. And the comma keeps moving, because there's more of the story to tell. There's more of the story to be explored. And I think loving your body is exactly the same thing. My body has changed so much, even in the past 5 years. It was only about 6-7 years ago that I actually was a healthy weight. It took me a very long time to get there. But then my body yo-yoed quite a lot, because it had a lot of things to do in order to heal, and I had to let go of my boundaries and my need to control in order to let my body do what it wanted to do and needed to do in order to keep thriving after the years of abuse I'd put it through. I then went to drama school and I was putting it through like 75-hour weeks because I was working a full-time job on top of training. I was pushing and pulling and scrutinizing myself in a mirror 8 hours a day, and that changed my relationship with my body a lot, and it built up a lot of unhealthy habits. And then I had a horrific breakup, which made me feel I had a very toxic relationship with my body after that because I blamed it. And then recently during the lockdown, I've really kind of brought in more of the yin energy, more of the softness and the feminine energy. And I'm starting to, I don't know if this, I'm going to say old age. I'm not old at all. I'm 25. I need to get a grip. I'm having a midlife crisis. However, they do say as you approach your later 20s that you start to really settle into who you are and become comfortable with it. And I do feel like, I mean, it's not like I said, it's not an end destination. I don't know who I am. I haven't found myself and been enlightened. A bush has not set on fire and a spotlight has come down on me and said, congrats, this is Chelsea, here you are. I'm very much a Rachel from Friends. I'm having a crisis on the daily, but we use fashion to cope, and coffee. But I actually can make coffee, that's the difference. But where I'm going with that is that recently kindness is key. And I think with creating a long-lasting relationship with my body, kindness will always be the key. For when I fall into old habits, I need to be kind to myself and know that that was the best that I knew at that time, that I didn't know any better. That was the only way I knew how to push through, how to take care of myself, how to get through whatever trauma or difficult time that was. And at the same time, when I have those moments of, I actually feel good today. This is okay. Who I am is okay. I look nice, or I feel good about myself, to celebrate those moments and those small wins and not feel guilty for liking yourself either, because I feel like there's a lot of very convoluted conversation and media projection towards women that celebrate themselves. They see it as quite threatening. It's something that's seen as stuck up or overtly confident, but in a negative way. Even if you look at the descriptors of successful women compared to successful men, like if a man is assertive and declares his point to a boardroom, he's considered as a strong man. Oh, he's assertive, he's confident, he knows where he wants to be, whereas a woman is described as bossy, as outspoken, as going above her rank. And that filters through to how we perceive ourselves. And it's almost, I don't know if it's a British thing as well to self-deprecate quite a lot, and I know I do that. It's my humour. I thrive off self-deprecation, but actually it's something I need to be more mindful of, because it isn't kind. It's not, you're not being kind to yourself by constantly putting yourself down. So I think I haven't ended up loving my body. I'm still learning, but I'm at a point where I'm accepting it, and I think I'm okay with that right now. I accept my body for what it is. It enables me to live this crazy life that I put it through. I'm very high stress, I'm very high commitment and productivity. I'm always busy. I do really long schedules. I love a hardcore workout, and day in, day out, my body shows up for me despite what I've done with it. And I'm learning to have a lot more of a balanced, kind, loving relationship towards it. But like I said, that changes day in, day out, and just hopefully it will become easier with practice. Practice makes perfect, as they always say. Next question, tips for gaining weight. Right, I'm not a health professional, and I want that as a disclosure, and I understand why this question has come through, because when I was in a difficult place, I would also ask that question. You know how to gain weight. We all know how to do it, and you just don't want to acknowledge it. There isn't a set meal plan or way to live or movement plan or no movement plan or whatever. There isn't a guidebook in how to recover or how to get better. What you have to do is stop externalizing it and looking for someone else for the answer, or looking for someone else for the solution, or to pin the blame on, and actually look at yourself and go, what do I know that I need to do to be kind to myself to get where I need to be? And ultimately, gaining weight is you need to eat more. And that's scary, and I know, and it's hard, but that is what you need to do. I'm not going to tell you how to do that. You need to find a way to do it that works for you and that is manageable. Some people need to rip the plaster clean off and just go straight in. Other people, slow and steady wins the race. So good luck. But you know the answer. You don't need to ask me for it. How did you find the transition from training at drama school to going into the big wide world? This is a good question. There is multiple strands to this question. I'm not gonna lie. Training was very eventful. It's incredible. It's a chaotic whirlwind of 3 years, to say the least. And I'm not gonna lie, by the end of it, I was like, get me the hell out. I just wanted out. I wanted freedom. I wanted control over my life. I wanted to dictate my own hours, how I wanted to pitch myself to the industry. So in one way, it was really freeing and liberating. And I went to Bali in the summer and just traveled with my best friend. And I finally felt like I could be myself again. I felt very stifled, I guess, within training because you're constantly pitched against other people. You're pigeonholed into categories that don't necessarily belong to you when you leave. So largely I found the whole thing quite liberating, but at the same time it is very daunting because you go into this industry and you're like, what now? Help. The band-aid has been cleanly ripped off. You're turning up to these auditions, the rejection is left, right and centre, or you might not be getting auditions at all. You'll be comparing yourself to everyone in your year. So it's quite a roller coaster of a transition, I think. But my advice would be to make the time for yourself, find things that you love that aren't drama school, that aren't theatre, that aren't performing. I know that's hard for some people because it is literally everything that they live and breathe, but I do think it's so important to have an identity outside of that. I don't think I'd have got through drama school if I didn't have other passions, other friends, other pursuits. That's why I've always had so many passion projects and side hustles, whether it be writing or this podcast or yoga, or I mean, none of my best friends are in the theatre industry or related to it at all. My one friend is a midwife, my other friend is studying to be a medic, but she originally did chemistry as a degree, and my other friend works in fashion. She works for Pretty Little Thing. We all work in very different sectors, and I think it really works because we really complement one another. So I think having a life and a community outside of the theatre world that you can escape to when it gets too much, because I think sometimes when the conversation is all about how many auditions you've had, how many dance classes you've been to, who your agent is, it's so overwhelming, and you need to just be in your lane and focus on your lane. And it's nothing to do with how, obviously hard work comes into play, but a lot of it is right place, right time. Whether the industry is opening up an opportunity for you, you just might not be the right casting right now. There might just not be a bracket open for you. Your bracket might be later down the line, and you can't predict it and you can't force it. So you just have to try and enjoy it as much as possible. Enjoy your life as much as possible, your life outside of performing, because, you know, some people, you know, you might get 10 auditions in a year. What are you doing for those other days in that year? There's 365 days in a year. You are not auditioning every single one of them. So what are you doing for you that makes you happy outside of that? And I think that should be the biggest focus when transitioning from leaving. And I think it's the biggest thing that we're not educated on and not helped with, is creating and cultivating a life that truly brings us happiness and abundance and joy. Don't get me wrong, I can't wait for the dance studios to open. I so badly want to go to a commercial class. I want to tap again. I want to fall in love with singing again. And I can't wait for that to happen. But I also have so many more things that I love and enjoy to do that make me the person I am that will be castable. Because they don't, half the time they're not casting, you know, they're not casting you because you've danced for 12 years and you've done XYZ. They're casting you as a person, as an individual, as what you uniquely bring and offer to the table. And that is largely impacted by the other things that you do in your life. The things that have made you the person you are aren't singing, dancing, acting. They're the hobbies that you've had over the years, the memories you've created, the places you visited, the people you hang around with, the people you've dated and broken up with. It's so much more. So I think seeing the bigger picture, that I've been very fortunate in that I've always tried to create that balance. I'm very aware of balance and that I overtly go out of balance and out of sync quite a lot. So I think I've always managed to maintain a sense of self beyond that performer life. But so overall, the transition wasn't too bad. I actually really thrived. I thrived when I left, and I think a lot of people do. Other people might be different. It depends what your experience was when you were at drama school itself. But obviously COVID hit 6 months in, which was not a joy. Poor 2019 graduates. Shout out to us all. We were the ones that were left behind. Yeah, overall the transition is bumpy and it's unpredictable, but it actually is so much fun because this is when life truly begins. Woo! Next question. Tips for overcoming exercise addiction. This is a very real thing, and I think more so than ever with the current climate and this whole hot girl summer and post-COVID weight loss situation, like It baffles me that people think the worst possible thing that could have happened in this pandemic is gaining weight. People have literally lost their lives to a disease. I have lost quite a few people during this pandemic, not necessarily from COVID, but from illness in general. And yet weight gain is still considered the ultimate demon, the ultimate Diablo of the conversation and what could happen to us. If all you have done to survive, the only negative habit that you have cultivated during this pandemic to survive is eating more, that's okay. There are far worse things you could have used as a crutch. There are far worse things that you could have used to cope. Food, it does serve a purpose, and I think we shouldn't apologise for having gained weight or having lent on it or picked up these habits that we might not necessarily have otherwise had. Where I'm linking that in with exercise addiction is I think we've all now got this very complex relationship with exercise, and that we're all feeling a lot of pressure to go back to the gym because they haven't been open for so long. We're all feeling a lot of pressure to shift that way or to change our bodies because our bodies have changed without our permission during the lockdown, or unintentionally, or we haven't been aware of how much they've changed. Exercise is meant to be fun. It is not meant to be to burn off X amount of calories, to have X amount of body fat, to have abs, to have an ass. It's totally fine to have goals, don't get me wrong. My goal is I just want to feel physically fitter. I want to be able to challenge myself. I want to strengthen my yoga practice. I'd love to be able to hold a handstand someday, but they need to be healthy goals, not unattainable goals or goals that make you feel miserable. And exercise addiction is very complicated. I used to have it, and I had to quit exercise for a year in order to get my period back, in order to actually get my body to a healthy weight. So it depends where you're coming from. But for the average Joe, you don't have to move every day, as in high intensity, 2 hours at the gym. It's not about that. It's about moving your body in a way that feels good and just moves that stagnancy around. When you wake up in the morning, you feel a bit stiff, you feel like everything's just sat there for a while. So even if it's just that every half an hour, you just get up and have a bit of a wiggle, have a bit of a stretch, you go for a walk in the afternoon and see a friend, you do yoga, you find a class that you really love. Don't run if you don't like to run. Don't lift weights if you find it boring. Find what works for you and then do it with balance. And if you notice that it's becoming too toxic, step away from it for a bit, reevaluate that relationship, reassess why you're doing it. Why are you going to the gym? Are you going to the gym when you're tired and you're burnt out, or you're on your period, or you should be doing something else but you feel guilty if you don't? Because that's not what it's for. I love to move my body, and on average I probably do work out, in inverted commas, 5 days a week, but I always have a rest day. I naturally just love to be outside and walk, but I also have weeks where, a couple of weeks back, I had 2 weeks where I just didn't do an actual workout, a proper workout at all, because I was just so busy. I didn't have the time. And I know that some people might say that I wasn't prioritizing, but actually I needed sleep, and me getting up at 6 a.m. to do a workout before I had to do everything else I needed to do wasn't being kind to myself, wasn't looking after myself. So it's about seeing the bigger picture, and like I said before, coming back to kindness and what is right for you in that moment. Just because you take a week off exercise doesn't mean that you're going to balloon, doesn't mean that the world is going to end, doesn't mean that your life is going to come crashing down. You aren't meant to be on a treadmill 7 days a week. If you don't like going to the gym, don't go. I used to think I loved the gym, and actually I'm really enjoying home workouts. They work way more for me. It fits into my schedule a lot better. I can do a quick 30-40 minute session, get my sweat on. Great way to start the day. Bish bash bosh. But then I also really miss the yoga studio, and I'll probably be spending more time there when everything opens back up. So I think just assess, like I said before with food as well, and your relationship in general with your body, assess where these habits are coming from and what might be fueling them, because I guarantee that it's not the action itself, it's other things, and you're using those to cope. Sorry, I need some water. I've been talking non-stop. COVID. I shouldn't joke about that. That's not funny. Just don't do that. Top tip, by the way, for anyone looking to get better at drinking more water, because I'm awful. I drink so much tea and coffee. I think it's just, I don't know, it's because the way I've been brought up. When I go home, I'm constantly being given a cup of tea, or I go out for coffee with my friends, with my dad. It's a very emotionally led experience, so I'm awful for drinking enough water. I just don't do it. But buy a sippy cup, the Starbucks ones with the straw. You can get Disney do super cute ones as well. My housemate's got one with Baby Yoda on it. Absolutely love it. But they're so much better. I've actually got an old school Love Island bottle. Yes, I am that bitch. Basic Gal 101. It's got my name on it, although it's peeling off a bit now, so it kind of looks like... It did say Chelsea at one point, but now it says Chelsea. Maybe it could say Schlur. Yeah, fun times. But yeah, sippy cups really help me drink more water, and always have one by your bed. Drink water first thing in the morning. Bish bash bosh. Anyway, on that note, next question. Right, I can't read. How do you stay motivated and dedicated as a creative when working on passion projects? This is a really good question, actually, because I feel like motivation is the right word. I think dedication is wrong. Because if it's a passion project, you should do it because you love it. A passion project isn't there to be another thing to tick off, another thing... You know, I think there's a lot of toxic hustle culture in the sense that if something isn't successful or something isn't hard work or you're not being productive unless it's something that you can tick off and boast about on Instagram on that day. And actually, I think it's far more productive and far more progressive and beneficial to chip away at something bit by bit each day and gradually hit the goal, and then eventually you get there and everyone's like, whoa, I didn't see that coming, than to do lots of really random things and kind of do everything at a half-ass level just because you want to be able to talk about it. Motivation wise, my biggest motivation is that I love it and it's something that I love to do and that I want to do. I do this podcast because I absolutely love it. I love being creative. It's in every essence of my being, and why wouldn't I want to spend time every day doing something I love? Sometimes I can't, and that can be hard, but I notice that I do feel sad if I haven't been able to do something that I enjoy doing, if my day has just been work, sleep, eat, repeat. And we all fall into that cycle sometimes, and there's nothing wrong with that at all, but it's being aware and making the time. So I think I'm massive, I use a diary. I have a physical old school diary, none of this Google Calendar nonsense, a physical hardback pen and paper diary, and I schedule in time like I would going out for dinner with a friend, having a personal training session, a lecture, going to the movies, whatever it is. Put it in your diary, physically write it down and dedicate and commit that time to yourself. Even if it is once or twice a week. I understand everyone's schedule is different. I'm a freelancer, so it means that I can move around my schedule with a lot more freedom than most. But commit that time to yourself on a day that works for you and have it as a non-negotiable. You cannot move that around. See it as a doctor's appointment. You cannot move it. It's not going anywhere. And commit that time, and commit a feasible amount of time that you know you could commit to, that you wouldn't want to talk yourself out of. So don't say I'm going to do 5 hours every Saturday on whatever your passion project is, when realistically you're going to go brain dead after 2, or so a friend might ask to meet up, or life gets in the way. So I think I like to commit small manageable chunks. So rather than spending a whole day editing the podcast, for example, I do little bits here and there, because I know that I have to work on a computer for my job. I like to be active. I like to be just doing lots of different things. And if I spend too much time on one thing, my brain burns out, I can't focus, and I lose the inspiration. So I think sometimes it can be quite nice to have little pockets of time. So even if it's just half an hour a day or an hour a day, that can be quite good. But then other people prefer to flat pack it next to each other and commit to 5 hours. So again, it's just assessing, playing around and seeing what works for you. I think also having a goal in mind and a vision. So when it's a project and it's something that you actually want to get done and it's something that you have a vision for long term. So say it's you want to build your own shed in the garden, or you want to write a book, for example. And I know a lot of people will start a project and never see it through because of fear of failure, or that it's not good enough, or you make excuses and life gets in the way. I think it's having a vision in mind and also setting yourself a time frame. So I'm somebody that thrives under pressure. So I'm awful. I wrote my dissertation in 2 weeks. Sorry, Mum. I did. I obviously did all of the research, the pre-planning, and I basically did as much of a detailed plan as possible. And that was all of a chipping away progress. So that was the bit where it's like half an hour a day, whether it be reading, adding to my plan, changing things about. But then the actual writing and completing of it, I think that's always the hard bit, right? The actual publishing of the book, the actual final edits of it, the painting of the shed. It's the last bits that never get done, not the initial bits. And with that, you need to add pressure, you need to add fire under the belly to make you do it, to make you get it done. And for me, that was like, okay, I'm setting myself a 2-week deadline. That's what you've got to get it done, to smash it out. The same was with publishing my book. I had it there for 1.5 years, did nothing with it. It was just there, pretty much complete. It needed to be edited and drafted, and I needed to finish the front cover and stuff, but otherwise it was sat there on my laptop doing nothing. And it wasn't until I was like, okay, I'm going to hold myself accountable. I put it on Instagram and was like, my book is going to be published in 3 weeks. Shit. Now I've actually got to do it. I'm accountable. People know about it. I've got to make it happen. And that's another tip I would say, is make yourself accountable. Have an accountability buddy, or tell people that you're doing it. Talk about your project. Talk about where it's going. Talk about when you want to get it complete. Put a completion date in the diary and you have to get it done by then. Yeah, accountability is everything too. And also, rather than just seeing the big goal and being intimidated by it and finding it quite daunting, I like to do like a reverse mind map. So you write the goal at the top of the page and then you backtrack how to get there. Because I think a lot of us look at the top of the ladder and where we want to be, and we just try and jump from level 0 to level 10. And actually what you need to do is gradually climb bit by bit. And then, like I said before, the gradual chipping away. Like, Rome wasn't built in a day. They didn't lay all of those bricks in one day. It's constantly chipping away, constantly building the wall, building towards that end goal, that end vision. And I think sometimes by breaking it down into more palatable steps, that like little bite-sized chunks, that gives you motivation, because you're like, oh, feasibly I can do this. I can write a chapter of my dissertation. I can lay 50 bricks today. Like, make it feasible and attainable, so then that will keep your drive, that will keep you dedicated, and it will keep you motivated towards your end goal. Next question. What has been the best day of your life? Oh, this is so cute. That's a really difficult question, actually. Oh, best day of my life. That's really hard, because I have a lot of pockets of moments where, like, I look back and like they just make you, they make you feel all warm and fuzzy in your heart. It's just like, oh, that was a really good time. So again, I'm going to alter this question to make it my own, but one of my favourite memories is after graduation and prom, it's a tradition that everyone in their prom dresses would go to the top of the Mount, which is a place in Guildford, and watch the sunrise together as a year, as like your final moment together before you all leave. And it was like 6 a.m, everyone's drunk, everyone's tired, and we're all in these ridiculously extravagant ball gowns, because drama school kids do it best, and we're all just sat there together, like singing and watching the sunrise. And I think that was just a really beautiful moment of unity, and wow, we actually did the 3 years together, and that was really powerful and a really awesome moment. Another really, like, one of my favourite days ever was that I did a book launch in the centre of London in Sweaty Betty, King's Cross, and I thought no one was going to come, and I'd put so much effort in, and I'd done all these personalised balloons and cupcakes with the cover on, and I'd planned out what I was going to say, and I'd rehearsed and had liquid courage before I went, and so many people turned up, and like I sold so many copies, like way over what my initial target was. And I was just so overwhelmed that people that I didn't know were committed to things that I was putting out there. And I think it was also that declaration to myself that I can do hard things, and that I can put my mind to something and make something happen. So that's definitely up there with one of my best days ever. Another one would have to be my graduation, like my getting my degree. I've always wanted the cap and gown moment, getting the little scroll and just being there with my family and celebrating, and it felt like a rite of passage. So that would be another kick-ass, tick it off moment. What's one of the other memories? This is quite a funny memory, but I really enjoy it. And it was when I went to Paris Fashion Week. I got asked to go literally a week and a half before I went. It was madness. And we'd done a 14-hour day on runway, and we really wanted to see the Eiffel Tower. We were like, we've been in Paris, we're working ourselves to the bone, and we've not actually gone out and seen anything or done anything that we really wanted to do. And we hired these electric scooters, and I've never laughed so much in my life, because basically it was me and 2 other girls, and we were whizzing around Paris on these ridiculous scooters, and my friend's scooter runs out of battery, and she's like, guys, wait, and it's like, bear in mind, it's like end of February, it's freezing, we're all in these so many layers, we're exhausted, we've not slept, we haven't eaten, and her scooter breaks down, and she gets onto the back of mine, and we're like rocking back and forth, 2 of us trying to hold on to this scooter, like whizzing around Paris. It like you couldn't write it, like it was one of those like you have to be there moments, but I've never laughed so much in my life. Like, we're literally on these electric scooters whizzing around the Eiffel Tower, 2 of us like laughing so much that we're crying, trying to balance on this stupid scooter, like so exhausted. It was just, yeah, like one of those really funny moments that you look back on and you're like, what the hell is my life? So Yeah, that was another one. I feel like there's so many. For me, it's the real little things. Oh, actually, another one would be hiking to the top of Mount Batora in Bali. I absolutely love Bali. I talk about Bali all the time. Have I never mentioned Bali before? I probably did in the Gap Year episode, but we got up at 1 a.m. and hiked in the dark. It's totally not safe, to the top of Mount Bator, which is this huge volcano. I think it's inactive in Bali, and you watch the sunrise and it literally looks like the Lion King. I've never seen anything like it. And me and my friend Lauren climbed to the top of this. So tired, but so awesome. And we're sat at the top, and there's this lady that sells like these mugs of hot chocolate, which is the best thing you'll ever drink. I wish I could have like bought gallons of it and carried it back down. And we were sat with these two other girls that we'd literally just met and made friends with, and this couple that was so cute. I think they actually got engaged that day, and just watched the sunrise over this absolutely magnificent landscape. I've never seen anything like it. It felt like I was in a David Attenborough documentary, and it's one of those breathtaking moments where like a photo could not do it justice, a video couldn't do it justice. So that would also be one of the best days of my life, because we also went to a spa afterwards. And I tell you what, when you've been hiking for like 8 hours, a spa and a warm like hot spring, there's nothing like it. Wow. How do you balance trying to be fit and healthy whilst tackling internalized fat phobia? Okay, so I think what this question means is like, how do you balance wanting to change your body and wanting to be a certain ideal in your head without coming across as fat phobic to people that are in bigger bodies or different bodies to yourself? And I feel like this is a very difficult territory to navigate, because as somebody that has occupied both ends of the spectrum, you can never win. If you're in a bigger body, you won't be happy. If you're in a smaller body, you won't be happy. And I think ultimately we need to remove the importance of our body in itself. There is nothing wrong with wanting to take care of yourself and to look after yourself. You need to eat your fruit and veg. You need to sleep 8 hours a day. You need to drink enough water. And there's nothing wrong with prioritizing your health and well-being and moving your body and feeling good. But what we need to remove is that association with weight, numbers, pounds, calories, and all of the stuff that diet culture attaches to it. And I think that's where the problem is, and that's where the fat phobia comes in. Because actually, I was very fit and strong when I was 3 stone heavier than I am now. I was also very unwell and very poorly when I was heavier, but I was also very unwell and very poorly when I was skinnier. I was also very fit and able and well when I was skinny. And so the both of the topics apply to both ends of the spectrum, and we can't generalize what one idea's person of health is. And, you know, I've got friends who are naturally very slim, will always occupy a slim body, and that's where they naturally sit. And that's where they're happy, they take care of themselves, they live a balanced lifestyle, that's where they sit. Me, I'm a bit of a chunky monkey. I'm a mid-sized gal. I will always sit there. I'm not meant to be a size 6, and your body will find its natural set point weight and where it sits at. And I think what you have to focus on is just living a healthy, happy life. And healthy doesn't mean kale salads and being completely sober and going for 10k runs every day. Healthy is getting a good night's sleep, doing things that you love in the day, your heart feeling full, eating the pizza, but also making sure you have an apple and drinking 2 litres of water. It's balance. Health is balance, and what that looks like to one person isn't what it looks like to another. There could be someone in a bigger body that is healthier and happier than someone in a smaller body. And I think we just need to let go of the societal stereotypes and stigmas that are attached with it, and know that by us just being healthy and happy and healing ourselves, we automatically fight fat phobia, we automatically fight body stigmas and, you know, societal pressures. I hope that makes sense. Live your best life, honey, and then you'll transform the world. How to not feel like a failure. Oh, honey, I wish I knew. I wish I knew. How to not feel like a failure is to not fear failure itself, to know that it's okay to fail. Wow, that was deep. Oh, I'm gonna say that again. That was some Jay Shetty, Deepak Chopra level quotage right there. How to not feel like a failure is to not fear failure itself. Boom. Oh, that's going on the gram tomorrow. Love that as a quote. Wow, that sounds so cliche, and it's definitely something I need to apply, because I'm definitely someone that feels like I'm failing all the time. But I think that comes from, one, not celebrating your successes along the way. I think there's something really beautiful in actually having some retrospect and hindsight and saying, okay, look how far I've come. 13-year-old me didn't think I'd be here. Me 2 years ago didn't think I'd have achieved this. I think we spend so much time looking at the next thing, the next big thing, the working towards something better, or comparing ourselves to someone else who we think is doing better, that we actually don't celebrate our little successes along the way. And I think it is really important to appreciate where you are in order to acknowledge and work towards where you would like to be. Also, most importantly, failure is not a bad thing. I think the biggest transformations and the most iconic moments of our existence come from fucking up gloriously, messily, chaotically, getting shit wrong. That is where the great stuff happens. Like, I wouldn't be where I am today doing this podcast if I did not almost die from anorexia. That is something I see as my biggest failure. It wasn't even in my control, but I wouldn't be where I am today if that hadn't have happened. It was a massive failure to me to decide not to go to Oxford and to pursue drama school. It was seen as a massive failure, not by my family and the people close to me, but externally a lot of people saw that as a failure. But if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't have been happy for a start off. I'd have been pursuing a life that wasn't meant for me. It wasn't my door to open. I wouldn't have met the incredible people and made the memories and the journeys and the learning experiences that I had along the way. It's sliding doors. Everything happens for a reason, and if you take that path, you're meant to take that path for a reason. And even if it fails, or a friend, it could be a friendship fails, it could be a job fails, it could be a side hustle that you tried to pursue, capsized, but there was a reason. It's part of the bigger picture. Like, I think things are either meant to help us grow or to help us learn, and not everything stays not everything stays with us, and not everything goes right, but that doesn't mean that it's a failure, because we learn so much from every moment. We learn so much from every person we meet. We learn so much from every passion that we pursue. Every choice that we make teaches us something. And I think when we start looking at life as an educational and learning process that's constantly helping us to grow, rather than something that needs to be ticked off and approved of, that's when the real change happens. How to deal with mistakes you made in the past. Let them go. Let them go. We spend so much time digging up the past, digging up, buried goods, and they need to stay buried sometimes. I think there's nothing wrong with looking back to see how far you've come, but I think looking back and digging up everything that happened and going over it and over it incessantly isn't helpful for anyone. You are not your past self. Your past self did the best they could with the information they had at the time. They didn't know any better. You didn't know any better. It's easy to look back and be like, why didn't I do this? If I'd have done that, then I'd have done it this way now. But that's because you are the person now. You learnt from that experience, you learnt from that mistake, and then grew. It links back into the other question, and I think you will never be able to move forward if you are constantly trying to move back, or constantly trying to dig up what is behind you. You have to look forward to move forward. If you're looking back, that's where you're going. I just think there's nothing helpful in you'll just torture yourself going round in circles and questioning everything. It's happened, it's in the past. Sign it, seal it, deliver it, post it, bury it, whatever you need to do. It's happened. There's nothing you can do to change that. It's time to move forward. Small habits that have made the biggest impact on your life. Water, first thing in the morning. As soon as I wake up, 500 mils of water. Get it in you. You are a raisin when you wake up. I say this all the time. If I don't drink water in the morning, I feel so crap. It's like nothing will move. I don't feel like I can function as a human being. Everything feels so stagnant and hard. Your body is 70% water. Like, hydrate, for goodness sake. Second thing is sleep. Wow, like sleep and stress, they literally impact everything else. They are the two core pillars of well-being. If you are not sleeping enough and you are really high stress, good luck trying to live a healthy, happy, abundant life. It isn't going to happen. So, I mean, it's definitely a learning progress for me. I'm an insomniac and it's something I'm desperately trying to tackle. But sleep is so important, and I think trying to prioritize sleep and trying to create a consistent sleep schedule, definitely a good habit to have. Read every day. I've always been a bookworm. I'm a bit of a Matilda in that sense. And I noticed that as I got older, I would make excuses not to read and not to prioritise it. And actually just to read for enjoyment. It doesn't have to be self-help books or business books or how to get rich quick. It can just be a good old fiction for the love of it. Some recent books that I've read that I highly recommend: Flatshare, Such a Fun Age, Queenie, Trick Mirror, Ghosts, The Alchemist, The Chimp Paradox, and what was another one that I read that I really enjoyed? Oh, Big Magic. That's just quite a few. That's a mixture of non-fiction and fiction, but I feel like reading a little bit every day just changes your perspective. You're reading something new. You're not looking at a screen and a constant bombardment of trolling or people pitching against each other or just false unnecessary media that just drains the life out of you. Lord help us. Reading every day. 10 pages a chapter. That's all it needs to be. Read a book on your commute. Listen to a podcast. Just expose yourself to a variety of opinions and perspectives and life experiences. And I think it will really shape you and make you a more whole and well-rounded person. Phone the people you love and don't apologise for it, and make it a habit. Prioritise that time. Check in with people. Give them a hug, even if it's just, that little really cute, I love that little emoji. I'm doing it and you can't see me, but the little emoji on WhatsApp, and it's like the little hug. It's got the two little hands. I love it. It's like the little head with the two hands. Yeah. Just reminding people that you love them, because we all need to hear it. I think it's so important. A practical habit is to-do lists, but make it manageable. I call it my bish bash bosh method. Wow, I need to do some articulation work. I actually thought the whole way through this, because I'm quite tired, my voice is very creaky, and for anyone that has trained, my voice coach would be absolutely bollocking me right now for how I'm speaking, so apologies, Suzanne Swan. But to-do list, so bish bash bosh method. A bish task is one that you can do really quickly, simple, easy, tick it off, whether that be send an email, book a doctor's appointment, whatever, super easy peasy. Bash is a task that takes slightly longer, so you might have to commit half an hour to an hour to it, and just focus on that task individually for that time. So select that time that you've got and commit it solely to that task. Don't have any external noise, any external chatter. Prioritize and just focus on that. And then the Bosch task is something that's longer, so it might be one individual project that you have to chip away at a little bit each day, and it's putting that time in to just chip a little bit more away, lay that other brick, build that wall. And I try and do at least one each day. So I prioritize my to-do lists by doing, obviously I write a general to-do list, which is everything I need to get done in the week, and then I separate it across the week, so that it's manageable, it's sustainable, and I'm always working towards every type of task. So I feel like it's easy to tick off all of the bish tasks, the quick and easy ones, because you don't really have to think about it. But then that longer task doesn't get done because we're never chipping away at it. We're just kind of looking at it. It's daunting. It's terrifying. I don't want to do it. And you just ignore it. And then it comes around and you're like, shite, haven't been doing it. So I think prioritizing selections of time for all three, giving yourself 3 to 5 tasks a day. Don't overwhelm your to-do list. Don't do too much. You don't have to do everything in one day. There are a lot of days. You've got plenty of time, unless of course there is a time frame and then there's no time, but you get what I mean. Prioritize your time. The main thing that made you want to recover. Oh, this is a beautiful question. I've actually seen it floating around quite a lot. I wanted to live and truly live, because I feel that when I was fully in the grasp of my eating disorder, I didn't live. I was existing, and I missed out on so much magic that life has to offer, and that makes me sad. And that's my our hands up say one of the things that I look back on all the time and I blame myself, or I feel guilty for, or I feel robbed of time. And sometimes I think I overcompensate and try to make up for lost time now because of that. But I think, I wanted to live and truly live an abundant, joyful life. I don't want to spend a minute of my time unhappy and miserable and doing things that don't bring me joy and missing out on making memories purely because I'm so obsessed with fitting into a certain jean size and how much food I've put in my body that day. So I think it was because I wanted to live and actually live rather than just exist. And it took me a long time to get there, but I think life has so many beautiful, fabulous things to offer. It's such a rainbow, multicolored spectrum that we can explore. And I think when you're so trapped in an illness like that, it's really hard to see that. You just see everything in grayscale. It feels very black and white. It's like the light's turned off and there's just no way out. But I think it's, remembering that there is a way out and there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and there's something really beautiful in choosing yourself, choosing health, choosing happiness. There's so much more to life. Also, cake is great. I mean, I say cake, I'm definitely more of a chocolate gal, but cake is great. Bloody delicious. Lovely jubbly. I think that's all of the questions. Oh, actually, I did say that I was going to do a quick fire round, which I think will be really funny, actually. I don't think I'm prepared for this. So I've got it up on my phone. I see a lot of people do this, so I'm going to do it for myself. Okay, ready? Okay. Hummus or guacamole? guacamole every time. I think I am about 80% avocado. Coffee or tea? Is that even a question? Coffee. I don't think I would be a functioning or tolerable human being without caffeine. Chocolate or crisps? Chocolate. I'm sorry, like, I will always be sweet over savoury, and, you know, definitely will probably give myself diabetes at some point, but we live our life. Home or away? Ooh, that's a difficult one. I'm going to go with away because I love making new experiences and discovering new cultures and being outside of my comfort zone. So yeah, hot or cold? Hot, always. I hate being cold. It makes me so miserable. I hate cold environments. I hate cold drinks. I hate cold food. No. Hate it. Hot every time. Give me baking sun and hot soup and hot coffee. Yes. Summer or winter? Conflicting my previous answer, but I would have to say winter. But that is purely because of Christmas and my birthday. So I feel like I have a get out clause there. Single or taken? I don't know if this is like I have to choose which I prefer or which I am. I am currently taken, but I did really love being single. Controversial. I mean, you probably won't listen this far in because he has to listen to me on the daily, but I think being single's great. Literally live your best life. You don't have to answer to anyone. Like, literally, what more could you ask for? Literally just live the dream. Live your best life, honeys. So final question, which actually I've realised that I'm probably going to bring into my second season because I really enjoy it, is what's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given? I'm going to say it's don't be bitter, be better. Yeah, I was thinking about saying something more profound, but actually now I'm going with that. Best advice I've ever been given? Don't be bitter, be better, bitches. Well, that's me, over and out. If you made it through the whole of this episode of just me, myself and I, congratulations. You made it. Well done. I think you deserve a thorough detox of me right now. Go and grab yourself a nice brew and a little snack and enjoy the rest of your month. I'm so glad that we can finally eat indoors and escape this gloomy British weather, although summer is coming, so now will be the time that we actually want to be outside. Keep listening. Keep an eye out on my Instagram at Smile to Health and at Jeans and a Nice Top Pod. I'm going to take a wee little break from this while I plan the next season and bring you something bigger and better, more exciting guests, more fun, more chats, more chitty chat, more gossip. So yeah, enjoy your month. Thank you for listening to this entire season. I've absolutely loved every minute of it. Don't forget to rate, review and subscribe, and have a lovely day, chickas. Ciao.